I'm calling the meeting to order. Please join me for a moment of silence, followed by a Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by John Sparaga. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sir, tell us a little bit about your...
I thought I was sneaking off there.
Oh, you're not letting that go that easy. Yes.
Trying to get away.
Yeah, I've been known to be too brief, I guess. I served from 2010 to 2014 in the Air Force. Currently, I work Martin County BOCC as a veteran service officer, and we help veterans and their family members obtain VA benefits that they might be entitled to, as well as any state benefits. It's a very rewarding career. It's probably my favorite job that I've had since getting out of the military is being able to give back to the veterans in Martin County. So appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to do that.
And we salute you.
Thank you.
There are a number of presets today. At 9:30, we will have our legislative update. At 9:05, we'll have public comment. At 1:30, we will have consideration of an unsolicited proposal for a public-private partnership. At 1:35, we'll have another evaluation of an unsolicited proposal for a public-private partnership. At 5:05, we will have discussion on accessory dwelling units text amendment. At 5:05, we will conclude with public comment. Now we will take up public comment. The first request to speak form I have is from Jackie Thurlow-Lippish. Would you like to speak now? Okay, excellent. Followed by Greg Braun. Sure.
Hello, honorable commissioners and staff. Jackie Thurlow-Lippish. Nice to be here again, I guess. I am a long-term resident of Martin County, in fact, a lifetime resident. My family's been here since 1952, and my mother is the local historian for Martin County. I am heavily invested in Martin County. I have run for county commission in the past. I served on the South Florida Water Management District for 4.5 years with my whole heart. And I have grown up surrounded by the waters of the St. Lucie River, which brought me so much closer to God and to the beauty of this place my whole life. I am very excited to have joined the Guardians Board just recently, and I'm back. And I feel that that is a good place for me in my older age. And I'd like to just, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is use the same words that were said by you. And so I'm just going to say a few of the words to you that were written in a letter on April 7th by Mr. Donaldson to Drew Bartlett, who was my executive director when I was at the South Florida Water Management District, about Chauncey Bay Ranch, a slaughterhouse that is proposed on the edge of Lake Okeechobee. The reality is we all eat meat, and it is a kosher site, which is better than most, of course. However, that FDACS would preempt this county from having any input into that is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And we are living in an age where from the top down, people are telling us what we cannot do in our local governments, and we've always had that right. It's a constitutional right within our state. So I'm just going to use a few words, which I think for the public will be powerful if they haven't heard them. And these were from Mr. Donaldson. According to the EPA, an environmental integrity project, the meat and poultry project industry is among the largest sources of industrial nutrient pollution in the United States. U.S. risks from a slaughterhouse include water contamination. Meat processing wastewater contains blood, feces, oil, grease, ammonia, and antibiotic residues, which contribute to the eutrophication and harmful algae blooms, including toxic cyanobacteria. Cyanotoxins cannot be removed via standard wastewater treatment. It goes on and on and on. We know this. Please speak up on the behalf of Martin County residents for our good nature. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Braun is next. Greg, would you like to speak now or at the? Okay. Sam Hay is next. Followed by Barbara Birdsey. Would you like to speak now, Ms. Birdsey?
Good morning, I'm Sam Hay. I have the privilege of living in Port Salerno. I am feeling alarmed at the reported prospect of a slaughterhouse being constructed on a ranch in the northwestern corner of our county. While I have no particular objection to the processing of meat, the location of such a facility in Martin County does pose the potential for significant environmental and health risk. My main concerns have to do with our water, always a critical issue in our county. It has been reported that the South Florida Water Management District has permitted the proposed facility to withdraw 6.7 million gallons from the underlying aquifer over a span of 20 years. This in spite of the increasing threat of saltwater intrusion in our porous geological structure. A related concern is, of course, the potential for the operations of an abattoir to generate further contamination of our water, both above and below ground. The proposed abattoir would be located very near Lake Okeechobee, already the source of water woes our community has suffered for years on end. It is my understanding that the Florida Department of Agriculture has determined that our county is preempted from reviewing the slaughterhouse facility for compliance with our comprehensive plan and environmental regulations under state right to farm legislation. To me, this seems illogical, as such a facility appears not so much a farming project as an industrial enterprise. I am not conversant with the complex network of laws and regulations involved with this issue, many of which have no doubt been adopted for the benefit of well-placed property owners to the disadvantage of the broader public good. I do believe, however, that the county government has a duty to exert its authority of oversight to ensure that the proposed abattoir, if constructed, operates in such a way as not to contribute to the further degradation of our water resources. Particularly considering how lax state-level environmental protection has been in recent years, I believe all Mountain County residents will be grateful to the Commission for your serious attention and oversight to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Birdsey is next, followed by Vera Castlebury.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Birdsey from Hope Sound. I've been around here for quite a while, so lovely to see you all this morning. I'm here to speak on, of course, about the proposed slaughterhouse. I have many concerns about it. You'll hear from many other people, I'm sure, what all of the pollutant and water issues are. I have another concern regarding such a huge project, and that is oversight about the animal welfare part of this. There will be thousands of animals involved, and I question where the oversight for not only cruelty to the animals will be, but also for the workers. It's a very tough job. Many people get injured in this kind of work. And there's lots of opportunity for cruelty to happen. I'm further concerned this morning I got a memo from the Center for Biological Diversity quoting a law that's in the works that would mandate that Florida state parks be open for cattle ranching. And I would love to have further input from this body how that would affect Martin County. It's House Bill 1421 and Senate Bill 1658. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Vera Castlebury is next, followed by Jim Moyer.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Vera Castleberry. I'm a full-time resident of Hobe Sound for 23 years. And I would just like to read a brief comment regarding Chancey Bay. I'm here to speak about my serious concerns regarding the Chancey Bay Slaughterhouse. It's a 26-acre slaughterhouse, which is indeed an industrial complex. As you know, in November of 24, 63.93% of your constituents passed the referendum for the half-cent sales tax to fund Martin County forever. You know, Martin County is deeply, deeply caring about our precious environment. The lack of transparency of this development has raised serious and numerous red flags. One is the effect on water quality, like others have been expressing to you. Like you, clean water is critical for our very existence. Clean water is a life or death issue for our treasured flora and fauna. Chancey Bay Slaughterhouse, according to position papers and investigative reporting, states that this facility would cause the degradation of our water quality for several reasons, but especially because it is situated in the Lake Okeechobee watershed, which is already designated impaired. As reported, this project has zero water quality monitoring in place. Zero. I believe you know what actions need to take place to prevent this type of situation from happening in the future. And I ask you to please move forward with whatever is in your purview, and let's not allow anything like an industrial complex to be built and affect so many different areas of our community, but especially water quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Moyer is next, followed by Anthony Zunino.
I always see you
Hey,
sitting
neighbor.
down. I didn't know you were.
You didn't know I was
You're normally sitting right
impaired. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jim Moyer. I'm a resident of Martin County, Rocky Point. I'm also the Indian River Keeper. The Waterkeepers Alliance has almost 200 waterkeepers in the country. Slaughterhouses, packing houses, and CAFO lots have been identified as primary sources of nutrient pollution across the country and around the world. This is an industrial site that we do not have the capacity for wastewater treatment for. Nobody in the region has the capacity for the wastewater treatment that this facility would require. It's important that when we start to think about, allowing job creation in Western Martin County, that we take into consideration what the capacity of Western Martin County is to handle the industrial waste that this kind of facility would provide. Clearly, the comp plan has some stipulations that require that industrial processes on agricultural lands be cared for, and that's the county's responsibility to do that. We are in an era of preemption across the federal levels as well as state levels. It's important for Martin County to take a bold stand here and designate those processes which are industrial not be allowed on agricultural lands. If that is the case, then we need to make sure that we have the capacity to handle the waste and the water withdrawals that these facilities would require. It's our prerogative, it's also our imperative. And I urge you to take that into consideration, and if it requires a revision of the comp plan, then that's what it requires. But take a bold stand here, because this is not going to be okay for the future of Martin County. In fact, it's going to be very devastating for the health of Lake Okeechobee and the water that we all share. It is not just the water that's underneath one landowner's property. It is our water, and we need to demand healthy and clean water for everybody in the county. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Anthony Zunino is next, followed by Mark Perry. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tony Zanino. I'm president of the Guardians of Martin County. I know you're all familiar with the Chauncey Bay Ranch situation, but what I'd like to talk about is what exactly this exemption actually means. If the FDACS lawyer's opinion stands, a multi-million-dollar commercial processing facility will be constructed and operated in Martin County with no or very little development oversight whatsoever. No building permit, no site plan approval, no driveway permit, no mechanical permit for refrigeration, no electrical, no plumbing permit, no fire safety or sprinkler review, no windlord certification, and this is Florida where we design structures to survive hurricanes, no stormwater drainage permit from the county, no traffic impact analysis, no environmental review, no public hearing, no opportunity for a single resident of this county to ask a question or raise a concern before development begins. This is what a blanket agricultural exemption means when it's applied to a commercial facility of this scale. Every one of these requirements exists for a reason, and that reason is the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Martin County. However, the Guardians support the Florida's Right to Farm Act. We support its purpose completely, but the law was designed to shield for small farmers. It was not designated as a sword for well-funded corporate operations to bypass the local regulations that every other resident of this business in this community must follow. If the standard being set here is that a commercial operation of this scale can claim an agricultural exemption and bypass the entire local development review process, then this board needs to think about what that means for everyone else. Should the county go back and refund every small farmer and nursery operator who paid for development review, building permits, and code compliance? Should the county revise the fines that they are leveling on small agricultural operators who did not secure the required permits? What the Guardians are asking respectfully for is that the board seek independent legal review of the FDACS's agricultural exemption claims before relinquishing any regulatory authority. We ask the board to proceed with this established development review process until these legal questions are resolved. And we ask the board to consider the fairness of this situation, not just for the neighbors of this particular project, but for every resident and business in Martin County that follows the rules. The Guardians support agriculture. We support businesses. We're not opposed to this facility. But we believe that everyone needs to be a good neighbor. Everyone needs to demonstrate that their operations will not harm public health or water quality, and everyone needs to pay their fair share. We all have to live together in this community, and the rules that apply to some should apply to all. Thank you for your time.
Mark Perry is next, followed by John Nelson. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mark Perry, Director of Florida Oceanographic, but also a resident of Martin County since 1957. This project that you're becoming aware of, or has been apparently going on for a while, is a proposal for the slaughterhouse in that western part of the county up near the lake on Chauncey Ranch area. That it just, I think it's just a terrible, terrible thing to happen in our community, in our county, particularly because of the potential for pollution to our waterways, Lake Okeechobee, and also our groundwater and other water systems that are all around Lakeside Ranch. We spent a lot to try to clean up the waters through the Lakeside Ranch STAs, and working hard to do that for many, many years. And many of the county has been efforts in doing that. You know, the letters that are in your packet from Don Donaldson and the county, particularly the one to the applicant, describing the fact that this is not an agricultural use. This is basically an industrial use of this property, and that shouldn't be allowed without proper permitting for sure, which is apparently being preempted by the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. So the county needs to stand up with that. And then also that letter that Don put together for the district, Water Management District and DEP, describing that this again is not an ag thing. This is really an industrial use that needs to be reviewed and permitted by those agencies, but also by the county, and not preempted the fact the county has no say in this matter and they can just go ahead and get this facility done. The pollution that'll come from this is incredibly massive to our waterways. The wastewater treatment facility, it should be permitted just like a water wastewater plant. They need to demonstrate that they can handle all that for this industrial use, and they need to get the land use change from Martin County, not from FDACS, not permitted by the other agencies. They need to work with all the agencies to get a proper facility permitted if this is something to go forward. But I'm proud of Martin County to stand up and fight the state on this and say, look, you can't just come into our county and tell us we're going to go ahead and permit this property use on this property in spite of your, comprehensive plan or your regulations. And I'm proud that Martin County can stand up, and I hope we all do. And if you need more voices, we'll get them, because this is not a proper use for this particular property.
Thank you. John Nelson is next, followed by Frank McChrystal.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is kind of a weird situation for me because I actually grew up in a farming community. My family heritage since the late 1800s has been cattle ranching and potato farming in southwestern Oregon, or southeastern Oregon rather. And I know intimately, what goes on in the cattle industry because of my family heritage. That said, I've been a Florida resident since 1990, and I've been the president of Audubon in Martin County for the last 10 years. I'm also the voice of the Audubon Moment on public radio.
I have to close my eyes just to listen to your voice.
Sorry about that.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. And I'm also on the board of directors of Audubon, Florida. One of the things that, you've heard several comments about, the wastewater and the environmental damage, and everything that has been said is absolutely true. What you haven't heard is the cost to our wildlife, to our avian species here in Martin County. You may not fully appreciate it, but environmental tourism is a big and growing industry throughout Florida and here in Martin County as well. For the last 13 years, Audubon of Martin County has led public tours to the Lakeside Ranch Stormwater Treatment Area, which is immediately north of this proposed slaughterhouse. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that the proposed slaughterhouse in that area would absolutely devastate the wildlife in that area. The Lakeside Ranch Stormwater Treatment Area is a critical migratory path for many bird species that come through or live in our Florida habitat. And to have that type of an environmental impact would absolutely devastate such critical species such as the Florida snail kite, which is going through an incredible stressful time right now. And many of these species, again, are species that environmental tourists love to come down and see. But regardless of the economic impact, just the fact that something like this could happen to our environment is just beyond my comprehension. So I do, again, strongly recommend that you take any actions possible to negate this development. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Frank McChrystal is next, followed by Jeff Whitman. Mr. Whitman is the last request to speak form I have. If you'd like to address us, please fill out one of these forms and hand it to the bailiff.
Good morning. Thank you, Lord, for this day, and thank you for those who have served our country that allows me to have this freedom of speech. I'm going to cut into my normal time that I had planned because it's such a great opportunity to greet the finest of river greenies in our county and remind them that the noise mitigation plan after the illegal extension of runway 1230, a big part of the noise mitigation plan was to reroute all jet traffic out over our rivers as soon as possible. So in reference to the 23 acres of native habitat, mature trees that border the airport and the YMCA and neighborhoods to the north, the 2023 approved airport layout plan designates this parcel for future improvement. However, the potential improvement options for this parcel are not addressed explicitly in the alternatives analysis of the 2023 Airport Master Plan update. The county participated in unsolicited meetings with various aeronautical developers over the past 6 months to discuss improvement plans for this parcel, some of whom have indicated their ability to improve this area without financial support from the county. Shifting the capital improvements required to this parcel from the county to future tenants would significantly expedite the county's ability to make this parcel available for bid. Without tenant investment, the county anticipates the required infrastructure improvements and capital financing/planning could take 5 years. The county's goal is to make this parcel available for bidding following the proposed selection criteria for vacant properties. The county will initially solicit respondents that are willing to invest in the required capital improvements. This feels like the swamp. And I'll say it right now, I'm not comfortable with an assistant county administrator who lives and breathes, who is an aviation enthusiast fanboy in that position, okay? And this parcel, previous commissions have always protected. So doing what I do, I talked to some people on 10th Street. We're going to be directly affected by this. Very troubling what I learned, because I live just outside of the jet fumes plume, okay? The students at St. Joe's suck down jet fumes on a regular basis. I cannot believe that this is the will of this commission to expedite the development of this property. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Whitman is next, and Mr. Whitman is the last request to speak form I have. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Whitman, Hope Sound. I oppose the slaughterhouse, but I'm here today to remember and honor two environmentalists, one everybody knows and one not so much. 4 years ago, almost to the day, we lost Maggie Herchala. She was a Martin County Commissioner for 20 years and helped craft the blueprint which would become the Martin County difference. Martin County would not be what it is today without Maggie. She was my mentor and my inspiration, and I miss her greatly. 60 years ago, Max Whitman brought me and my brother to Hope Sound. It was wild country back then. Bales were washing up on the beach, and panthers roamed the island, eating Nat Reed's ducks. Directly across from our house, 88 North Beach Road, Commissioner Capps knows it well, was one of the most prolific turtle nesting beaches on the east coast of the United States, Bon Air Beach. My father always thought it should be preserved and worked to that end. The consensus at that time in the town was that it was never going to happen. The Coast Guard, who owned the 14 acres, had plans to develop it, and it would have taken an act of Congress to facilitate the transfer and get it preserved. My father was friends with Senator Bob Graham. They were fraternity brothers. And flying back from Washington, he asked Senator Graham to help him with the preservation. Senator Graham came through and got my father all the information that he needed: architectural plans, deed, and the deed restrictions. The Coast Guard had plans to build 10 houses for the Coast Guard brass. This was in violation of the deed restrictions. When my father could not continue, he was in his late 80s, he turned all of his material over to the town, who picked up the baton. Congressman Tim Foley slid the transfer to the town in an 800-page appropriations bill, which was passed by the House and the Senate. Thank you, Tim Mahoney, wherever you are. Thank you to the town of Jupiter Island. Thank you to the mayor and the town manager, Joe Connolly. Thank you to Sarah Hurd, who was involved in this. You remember, I think you were at the Tangerine Theater, that meeting. And thank you to my dad, and thank you to, Max Whitman for his part in preserving the Bon Air Beach Preserve. Not many people know about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the agenda, and we can approve the consent agenda at the same time?
I'll move approval of the agenda. The consent agenda also move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any objections? That motion passes unanimously. Now we'll present proclamations. The first proclamation is a proclamation declaring Charles Chapman School of Seamanship Week in Martin County, Florida.
Good morning, Commissioners. Martin County has always had a close relationship with the sea, both in terms of cultural influence and in terms of commerce. Maritime discovery, exploration, development, conservation, and recreation have, at various times, all had an influence on Martin County. The Chapman School of Seamanship, a maritime center of excellence, offers VA-approved programs, career training programs, recreational boating programs, and summer youth boating programs. The school has been recognized as the Maritime School of Florida by the House of Representatives and the Senate of the state of Florida since 1983, and February 22nd through 28th is recognized as Chapman School of Seamanship Week in Martin County. And here to accept, we have Jim Allen, who's the Executive Director of Chapman School of Seamanship.
Good morning. I'm Jim Allen, the Executive Director at Chapman School of Seamanship. So good morning, Commissioners. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and our staff, students, and alumni, I'd like to sincerely thank Martin County for this proclamation recognizing Chapman School of Seamanship. We are especially grateful for the opportunity we've had over this past year to welcome many of you to our campus. During those visits, we shared our vision for the future of the maritime workforce training, boating safety right here in Martin County. Those conversations were meaningful and reinforced that what we are building aligns with the country's long-term priorities, or with the county's long-term priorities. Nationally, there is a renewed focus on maritime strength through the Maritime Action Plan, an initiative that emphasizes domestic workforce developments, credentialed mariners, marine technicians, and the resilient maritime industry. The Maritime Industries Association of the Treasures Coast and Chapman School of Seamanship are proud to play a local role in supporting the national strategy and strengthening our regional maritime economy. For more than 5 decades, and 4 decades being in Martin County, Chapman School of Seamanship has worked to make our waterways safer while changing the lives through education. Today, that mission is more relevant than ever. We are training the next generation of professional mariners, marine technicians, surveyors, and safe boaters, individuals who will serve and protect our waterways for years to come. Martin County is a boating community and is part of our identity, and Chapman is proud to serve as a resource, not only for workforce training, but boating safety and education and our youth development. So thank you for your continued support.
Thank you.
Board, you want to join us?
Still, yeah. The Chapman board.
Good, William? Here, guys. Thank you.
You didn't get his. Hold your proclamation up.
Our next proclamation is a proclamation commending National Engineers Week in Martin County.
Engineers design, construct, and maintain the infrastructure and facilities that contribute to a high quality of life for all Martin County residents, and our community relies upon these engineers to execute innovative, creative, and high-quality solutions to technical problems. Martin County engineers and members of the Florida Engineering Society are making strides to interact with the engineering education sector to prepare future engineers to maintain our economic leadership and quality of life. In recognition of Engineers Week, February 22nd through the 28th, the board expresses appreciation to all members of this important industry for their contributions. And here to accept, we have County Engineer Mike Grzelka along with a crew of his folks.
Engineers Week.
Don, go down there with your Don, go down.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Grzelka, the County Engineer. I'd like to thank you on behalf of engineers everywhere for this proclamation, recognize the contributions of the engineering profession. Here in Martin County, our engineers across public works, utilities, and throughout the organization play a vital role in shaping our community, from providing our water and sewer service, reviewing development plans, and issuing permits, to inspecting and maintaining our infrastructure and protecting our roadways. Their work ensures that our community is safe, compliant, and resilient. Engineering is often behind the scenes, but its impact is everywhere. In the water we drink, the roads we travel, the stormwater systems that protect our homes, and the infrastructure that supports our daily lives. All of your Martin County engineers are proud to serve our residents each day and remain committed to building a stronger, safer Martin County for generations to come. Thank you for this recognition, and happy Engineers Week.
Sam, I didn't realize Sam was technically an engineer.
Put the tall guy under the TV.
Don't hit your head, Sean.
Yes, switch Sam and Sean.
So bossy.
Yeah, that was hard to crop out. The TV's right there.
It's a smart group right there. Your license still good? It is.
Okay, it's time for commissioner comments. Commissioner Vargas.
Okay, I'll make it as brief as possible. If any other commissioner wants to talk at length, I'm more than happy to do that. You can make the appointment with my aide. But for the public to know, Senator Bob Graham, I'm from Miami-Dade County, and he definitely was a strong advocate for what we were looking for at that time. Unfortunately, he passed just a couple of years ago. I also participated in the Chapman School of Seamanship as a safe boater. Back in Miami-Dade, my family was a boater and sailboater, so my father said, you will go to the school, and I did. I remember Red Wright returning as the buoys coming back. See, Jackie's laughing. Okay, so just returned late last evening from Washington, D.C. I was at a NACO conference, and oh my goodness, some of the issues we talked about, there are just so many. I took some notes right here. But very important, we talked about that this morning, preemption of our strength here at the local level for our Martin County citizens. That is definitely a crucial issue. Affordable housing, we spoke about that. Of course, we brought that up, and we'll be speaking about that later on this afternoon. The ad valorem tax debate, too, and the ins and outs of that. Saving our rural lands, we spoke about that this morning. We, of course, have the program of buying development rights or outright buying the property with our half-cent sales tax program, which you approved, and also maintaining integrity and strength at our voting centers. You know the news, you know what's going on. Workforce development, I had the pleasure of participating in the ribbon cutting of, it's called REACH, which stands for Reimagining Education and Career Help. This is over at the airport property. That was last week, so a lot of folks will be coming through to develop skills or hone their skills further for their benefit and the benefit of all of us at large. Data centers, that was discussed at length. Pros and cons. And we can't just give half-baked answers on things. We have to be where the information givers are and those that we speak with that have other opinions also. There are people across the country, small, medium, and large counties. And this is predominantly for those that are large and medium. These are the growing pains and the struggles we all have. So I was able to speak with a lot of other county commissioners and county managers and city managers also. They also mentioned about Doge too. Support personnel, a lot of them brought their support personnel, chief of staffs. I also had a number of speakers that I was able to glean more information from and to give you an idea. This is the U.S. Congress, U.S. Representative Chairman Honorable Sam Graves. I also heard Bruce Westerman. He's from Arkansas. He's the chairman, House Committee of Natural Resources. U.S. Representative Andrea Salinas. She's from Oregon. Honorable Tom Perez. He's former U.S. Secretary of Labor. And the Honorable Shigeo Yamada, the Ambassador of Japan to the United States of America. These are big names, and they certainly have a lot on their shoulders, and they want to give us the information. I also had the opportunity to tour our Pentagon, and that was a bit insightful. It took more time in order just to get the permission way ahead of time, weeks ahead of time, and then to pass through the security, which is very tight. Of course, we saw the memorial and actually the rooms, the area, that side of the building where the planes hit 9/11. And also toured our Secret Service headquarters. That was impressionable. They have a museum there, and I heartily recommend if you know somebody, and that was a getting to know somebody to get in there, definitely take that up. So having said that, I think that if you are not going to be involved on this commission, making the best decisions, you don't have the advantage if you don't attend both the Florida Association of Counties and the National Association of Counties programs and conferences. They are beyond a master's program, but again, these are real live people, and I gained tremendous amount of information, contacts, and know where to go to get the information. I have brains on tap. This is invaluable. So that's what I did on my weekend.
Thank you. Commissioner Capps.
I'll save my comments for later.
Yeah, last week we had, at our joint meeting, there was a suggestion that Maggie's Hammock Park, which is in Rocky Point, was in need of refreshing. And I'm a visitor there nearly every day of the week. And it's true that the open area, the cleared area in the center of the park, it's, by the way, it's a 28-acre park, and there's about maybe a 2-acre parcel in the interior that's cleared, and bikes and e-bikes and scooters have absolutely torn up the interior. It's not salvageable. It needs to be irrigated and it needs to be sodded, and both of those things need to be done in the summertime, because this is a wrong time of year to be planting sod. So I would put that on your list of things to inquire about. Also, commissioners, we've had a visitor speaking at public comment here a number of times, Derek Powell. He lives on Cove Road and is really dissatisfied with an encroaching development that was approved by the county. And I visited his property yesterday and certainly understand his dissatisfaction with what's happening in his immediate area. He has a beautiful site, a big site, 8 acres, that's in the heart of urbanized Stuart, and pepperwood is surrounding him on 2 sides. And he's concerned about drainage and concerned about the lack of privacy and concerned about all, and I'm completely sympathetic. He has valid complaints, and we met there yesterday with Michael Grzelka, who is our county engineer, and Jim Gordon, who's our director of public works. And I couldn't be more proud of the professionalism that Mr. Grzelka and Mr. Gordon exhibited. You know, Mr. Powell was very critical of Martin County, very critical of those 2 gentlemen, and we're doing everything that we can within the regulations in order to make his property more, and this project more tolerable. So just rest assured that we have really, really marvelous and sympathetic and helpful professional staff here. And lastly, we just lost a very dear member of our community, and that's Bob Matheson. Just died, and we're very sorry to lose him. Thank you.
I am all set.
Okay. Commissioner
I was going to
Hetherington.
yield my time, but just on Derek Powell, I too got an opportunity to visit his site and was concerned, particularly when he expressed the safety of his young children as that sidewalk transverses just directly along his driveway. And I always feel like if there's something that we can do to have some screening or privacy, had I looked at that on the screen and realized what kind of impact that would have on his property as far as that mobile path, then that to me is the most concerning, as well as some of the drainage and the tree line behind them. But I look forward to, and I know Jim and Michael will work as hard as they can to resolve some of those things.
Mr. Donaldson. Ms. Elder. And we will take up our 9:30 preset, which is our legislative session update. Good morning, Ms. Powers.
Sarah Powers, Legislative Coordinator. Here to give a mid-session update. We're just actually past the midway point. Today we'll go over some bill statistics and the budget that has been released, some highlights, and then we'll go into property tax and some bills that we're tracking and working on. And then if there's any questions on any additional bills or any of the bills we discussed, we can talk about it at the end. So the 2026 session, we are in week 7, 2 weeks after this left. We're on day 43 of 60, 17 days to go. This session, 1,800 bills have been filed, about 900 in each chamber. And just for context, last session, there was about 1,900 bills filed, only 269 bills passed, and 11 were vetoed, so it's about 13% actually pass of these 1,900 bills historically. The House and Senate released their budget totals at $113 billion in the $0.6 billion in the House and $115 billion in the Senate. Included, excuse me, in both of those is our PRISM project with the Sheriff's Office. We have $7.5 million in the House and $350,000 in the Senate, which tees us up for conference. That number can change, will change, we hope, but it's a good start for sure to budget conferencing. So some exciting things that have happened so far. All commissioners came up at some point during week 2 to attend important meetings, Treasure Coast Days, Florida Association of County Days. Our fire rescue team was up last week, meeting with with various agencies across the state, and that was cool. We met with our delegation as well. Having a strong Martin County representation in Tallahassee really ensures that our priorities are heard and advocated for. And I appreciate it when I have visitors because it makes Tallahassee feel a little more like home. And now for the fun stuff. So as you probably know, the House passed some property tax legislation last week, 203, which is a full elimination of non-school homestead property taxes instead of phased out. This proposal is will head to the Senate. However, the Senate has expressed no interest, especially in this form, of taking up this initiative in its current form. Analysis from the Florida Association of Counties estimated that a full elimination of non-school property taxes will roughly eliminate $9 billion in local revenue statewide. And Stephanie is over here. I know we might have some, if you wanted to have some questions while we're on this topic about property tax.
Sure. Commissioner Capps.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my first question for Ms. Murley, as our OBM director, is what were our ad valorem taxes last year?
Our total ad valorem taxes for FY26 adopted was $342 million.
342. And if we eliminated homestead property taxes in Martin County, how much of that would we lose?
So when we're talking about elimination of property taxes, it's important to keep in mind what our tax base makeup is made out of. For Martin County, we are 75% residential of our tax base, and about approximately 60% of those residential properties are homesteaded. So when we're talking about FY26 adopted and the $342 million, it would remove approximately $215 million from our budget. Ad valorem.
So we go from 342, we take out 215, and that leaves 127.
Approximately, yes.
And then how much did, well, first of all, the bill says that we can't reduce sheriff and fire rescue down below 24, 25 allocations.
Okay.
And so how much did the sheriff cost us last year?
So the FY26 sheriff budget was $119 million.
So we have $127 million to work with minus $119 million.
That's mathematically correct.
By my math, that leaves $8 million in the kitty and for fire rescue. So how much did fire rescue cost us last year?
So fire rescue's ad valorem was approximately $78 million.
78 million. So we were short $70 million just to pay for sheriff and fire rescue. And so that's a mathematical impossibility. We can't even pay for those first two things. And then let's think about all of the things that there would be no money for. First of all, fire rescue would be $70 million short, as we just talked about. How much was the parks budget last year?
Well, the parks budget, it's relatively small in the grand scheme of things, but their budget is about $10 million, and about 50% are revenue generated. So about $5 million of that would be ad valorem.
Okay. So, and then the other, there are 4 MSTUs, as they're called, in our budget. The first one is fire rescue. We've already talked about that. And then there's parks, which would lose how much?
About $5 million.
About $5 million. And then roads, how much is that budget?
Roads and stormwater are considered they're the same taxing authority. And if I recall, those are also generally small funds, but the impact on those would be about 63% of those budgets, which I need to know the number off the top of my head. But the roads and stormwater MSTU is about $15 million combined.
Mm-hmm. So we would lose 63% of those funds as well. But in my way of thinking, we would lose, I mean, there's no money left after sheriff and partially paying for the fire department. There's no money left, right? So in reality, Those just get shut down. And then let's talk about the constitutional officers. There's the tax collector, the property appraiser, the supervisor of elections. There's no money for them. And then the administration of the county government, everybody who works in this brick building here and elsewhere in county departments, they're all out of a job. There's no money for anything. We may as well shutter the building and put a big banner out front that says Martin County Government Shutdown, because that's what it would be. This is really a ridiculous notion, and hopefully our Florida State Senate will apply some common sense. I don't know if this is just political theater on the part of our House of Representatives, but it's totally irresponsible. I think I'll stop it there on this issue.
Any other? Any other? Yeah.
Throwing it down.
You've covered it.
Tell us how you really feel. Good for you.
Okay, so moving on to some legislation that we're following.
So what he's telling you, Ms. Powers, is you need to stop that.
Yes, we're trying. We're trying. We've been. Oh, me. Yes. Okay. I'll try my best. I am. We'll get into some legislation that I know we're not going to like very much, but I just wanted to make a note too. With 17 days left, anything can happen. Good, bad, worse, better, all of that. So, moving on to a bill, HB 691, agricultural enclaves. This bill has passed its third House committee stop in state affairs and continues to move. The Senate companion has also cleared 2 committees. This bill creates a new public hearing and certification process, allowing owners of qualifying agricultural enclaves to seek designation and move forward with single-family residential development consistent with adjacent land uses. Once certified, local governments may not impose regulations more burdensome than those applied to comparable uses or densities. This bill applies to counties only applies to counties with a population of 1.75 million or less, which it does include Martin County. And the agriculture enclave provisions are set to expire January 1st, 2028, at which time statute would revert to current law in place as of June 30th, 2026. And I have brought along Clyde to explain what the implications are of this bill.
Good morning, members of the board.
Good morning.
You're on. Am I? Good. This bill has 2 portions of it. One deals with process. One deals with defining what is an ag enclave. First, to start with process, it requires an applicant who submits an application who would require the Board of County Commissioners to then determine if it meets the definition of an ag enclave. And if it does, then the applicant has a process to go through where it's somewhat negotiated how it would then be processed. It wouldn't go through our normal development review process. If it takes longer than 180 days, it's automatically deemed an ag enclave. The process does not require a board review or approval afterwards. If it's deemed to be an ag enclave by the board, the local government may not require the owner to agree to a process that is longer than 180 days in duration or that requires further review of the plans in a quasi-judicial process or public hearing.
Clyde, that is also, it's a quasi-judicial, so you're not measuring discretion. You can only follow the law regarding rural enclave. So that process, just to make clear that it's not that you have, if it meets the criteria, it's your job to approve it. It says a quasi-judicial process, not a legislative decision.
Substantial competent evidence.
Commissioner Hetherington?
Maybe you are getting to this, but what is the criteria that's currently in the bill that would have a property meet an agricultural enclave?
There are a number of different paragraphs that could be applied in a number of different circumstances. I think this has been crafted to fit different places in the state of Florida. One criteria says 700 acres or less and surrounded on 50% by urban development. Another one says 75% has to be made up of urban development that could be commercial, residential, or industrial, and an interstate. And then there are other paragraphs that have other criteria that different properties could fit into. So it's rather difficult at this point to say with certainty exactly which properties are going to fit and which are not. But it's safe to say that this could, if one of these is applicable or more than one are applicable, could pop some pretty big holes in our urban service district.
Commissioner Capps.
I was wondering if you could show us a map of Martin County. And if you could let us know if there are any potential enclaves, as you see it, that could come up. Do we have any places in mind that where this could be an issue?
Let me get our urban service districts on first. So this hatching that you see, this is the primary urban service district, and this is the secondary urban service district. This is a freestanding urban service district. So any properties that are bordering the urban service districts that comply with one of the criteria that's described in the bill could effectively apply for this to meet this criteria. Anywhere along the urban service district, if there's a property that is bordering multiple urban service districts, it might be more likely to fit, but you would have to examine that property and make sure it complies with each of the requirements in the bill, which is a moving target. I mean, there's a House bill, there's a Senate bill, they are not exactly the same, and they have been changing almost day to day with little changes and adjustments. So anywhere along our urban service districts, you could have somebody who makes application and seeks to fit the criteria.
So, in my way of thinking, when I think about the Martin County Comprehensive Plan, the most important thing about the comp plan is the primary urban services boundary. That's the cornerstone of it all. That, basically we have a comp plan that says that over in the eastern part of the county, that is the urban area where we're going to have more population, more density, and we're going to preserve our western area by putting it outside the primary urban services boundary where people do not get urban services. It's agricultural land primarily. And that is the defining difference. When you think about the coastline, eastern part of Florida, the defining difference is what happens in the western part of those coastal counties. I understand in Broward County, it's fully developed all the way over to the western border. There's nothing left. They've scraped it clean, and it all got developed. And we know the story in Palm Beach County and St. Lucie County. They've had a lot more western development than we have. And so it seems that this enclave bill is kind of slipping in on us under cover of darkness here. And I'm rather amazed at how our environmental community statewide and even locally, they don't realize how big a threat this particular bill is to the Martin County difference and to the comprehensive plan. I think we all really need to take note. There's 3 weeks left in the legislative session, and this enclave bill has got some serious steam. And it may be thrust upon us here. And it seems to me like it's the beginning of the end of the Martin County difference and the comprehensive plan and the primary urban services boundary. So let us all take note. Are there other particular pieces of land that would jump out at us as places where an enclave might exist?
As I said, anything along the urban service district, the language would permit anything where you currently have an urban service district and where you have multiple portions of urban service district that kind of encompass a property so that it meets that 50% or 75%, depending upon the particular text. It could conceivably fit the definition. Another feature of it that I think is not well understood is that the density that an applicant can apply for, if they are determined to be an agricultural enclave, the density they could apply for could be any density that's adjacent to them. So if something's determined to be an agricultural enclave and it has 2 units to the acre or 10 units to the acre or 5 units to the acre in the urban area, well, they could apply for one of those densities in their agricultural enclave. And it doesn't have to follow our comp plan. In fact, it has to be considered conforming regardless of what our comp plan and our zoning districts say.
Okay. Well, I would encourage all of our residents to really take note of this. There are surprising potential outcomes that could come from the enclave bill, and I think that we all need to get really engaged and to think about the consequences.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Capps, I really respect what you're saying about that other counties may not be aware. They're totally aware. I will invite anybody personally to come with me to NACO or Florida Association of Counties, and you will see how well positioned they are. Now, we may have a few of our lobbying team, maybe 2 people. There we have 40 and more. Everybody is on trepidation about this. We are not the only ones. They love their cities and their counties. I mean, this is explanatory. It's alarming. It's alarming. I've been to Tallahassee numerous times. You know that, correct? Yep. Sat in conference, spoke with our representatives, our senator. They're the ones that we put in office. Those are the ones that you need to pick up the phone and call or go visit them in their offices here. They have offices here, or they can Zoom with you, I guess. But there is a lot of information out there, and people are not asleep. They are not asleep whatsoever. If we don't voice our opinion loud, and that means us too, those that are up here, but you gotta go to where they are. You can't just sit here and, make a statement. It doesn't work. Face to face is far superior in any situation in life. So when there's a lot of complaints about doing this or that, well, those are the ones not doing it. So let's all join together, commissioners. I was very impressed at this last conference that I just arrived from about numerous commissioners going up there, together with their support team also, to have meetings with those that are representatives at that level, federal, and also their senators, because that's where the money comes from. There isn't any right now. You know how much we're in debt. Was it 38 trillion or is it 39 trillion? And we're printing money to pay our interest on that to our bondholders. So there's a lot out there, but we have to get out of this little bubble that we're living here. And we have to see that they know more than we do, and they know what they're doing with this particular bill.
Ms. Elder.
I'm all set. Mr. Doolin covered it. Thank you.
Mr. Doolin, are there any current applications that are under development review in Martin County that might be eligible for the Ag Enclave?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Let's continue.
Yep.
Okie dokie. And on a bit of a kind of a promise from last session, SB 840, Land Use Regulations for Local Governments, is the promised glitch bill for 180. It has passed the Senate unanimously and is now awaiting its companion consideration in the House. This bill amends SB 180 from 2025, which restricted certain counties and municipalities from adopting land use moratoriums or more restricted development regulations for 1 year following a hurricane. This bill allows local government to impose moratoriums when necessary to address stormwater or floodwater management, potable water supply, and sanitary water systems. And importantly, for jurisdictions included in federal disasters for hurricanes Debbie, Helene, or Milton, and the bill shortens the restriction period to June 30th, 2026 versus 2028. So those are some positive changes that we've seen to 180 that I think makes the bill much better for at least for us here in Martin County.
How does it look in the House?
It is moving. It has 2 stops. It has been heard twice. So
okay.
And that's not to say they'll probably. I mean, since it was a Senate bill, they'll probably take up the Senate bill just as is, like they did last year with 180.
What's the number of the House bill?
840. Oh, not the House bill.
That's the House bill. I'll get it to you. And last bill, I'm just going to turn this one over to Peter Walden. He's been doing some research on this local land planning and development bill that's going to have some pretty serious implications here in Martin County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Peter Walden, Deputy Growth Management Director. Yes, there's 2 bills, companion bills, going through the legislature right now, the HB 927 and the Senate Bill 1138. Both of them are worded a little bit differently, but are both trying to make it mandatory that we create a qualified contractor program for the review of development applications. So if a developer comes in and they would rather use a contractor rather than go through the development review process with our development team, they could do so. And we have to have that program in place by January of next year. And we have to have at least 6 qualified contractors in this program. It's kind of like our continuing services program that we have with some contractors now. The difference is that we no longer really follow Article 10 in our code. They would do the review. They would present a affidavit along with an application basically saying that they've reviewed it and it complies with our comp plan, our LDRs, and everything else. Staff would only be allowed to do an administrative review of that, basically stating that they have all the components of the application from our checklist. They have an environmental assessment, a stormwater report, but we wouldn't necessarily have the ability to review any of that before it goes to the final decision maker. So that if that sounds problematic, it is, because very rarely does anybody bring an application forward in Martin County and get it right the first time, let alone the 4th or 5th time. So there's really nothing in the bills that talk about what would happen down the road if these applications got it wrong. And also the public hearing process and the approval process is kind of usurped as well, because we're basically given an application and told to approve it. And the language has been changing daily, just like the enclave language. In fact, the House bill was revised yesterday at 1:30. So it's kind of hard to keep up with it. I know Elise has been working on it as well. And it's very problematic to the development review process. And it seems in the end very litigious. But it's hard to say at this point. The Senate bill seems a little bit less arduous because it does have an out. It seems like we can deny applications after as they get presented to the board. Where the House bill really doesn't leave that option out. So we're following this as much as we can, and it'll be interesting to see as these 2 bills get merged together for approval if what language, is adopted. So we're doing our best to keep an eye on it.
So in the House bill, the applicant can initially decide to forego county development review in favor of choosing the developer.
A qualified contractor, yes.
So from the beginning.
Yes, and the qualifications with the county are not set very high. They have to have 5 years' experience in a state license. They don't necessarily have to have any history with the county or be local. They can be anywhere in the state. And if we don't get this program instituted properly, as it says in the thing, then somebody can just hire any contractor they want to review the project, and we have to accept that.
And are there deadlines for review?
Once we get the application that they received from the applicant, we have 5 days to review it for completeness.
And that's after the developers, chosen reviewers, have said this complies?
Correct.
Then we get 5 days?
Yep.
Ay.
And then within that 5 days, it gets turned over to the decision maker if it's deemed complete.
Is that business or weekends included?
It says 5 days.
And who's the House sponsor and who's the Senate sponsor?
Ooh. You know? I don't know that offhand.
I don't know it offhand. I can get that.
All right. Commissioner Hetherington.
So if I understand it correctly, the developer then would be responsible to understand our comp plan and LDRs, and they would be the one making the determination if the project that was proposed complied to those things?
Correct. I mean, they would produce an application, and then a third party, another subcontractor would review those plans.
And then
it wouldn't be the developer's own agents, I believe, bringing it forward. They would have this other subcontractor review it.
And it would come to the board.
And they would, yeah.
They would bring it to the board. So you would have this independent reviewer bring it to the board for approval, not staff, because we're not allowed to review it or even, approve it. We can just say it's complete.
And are those quasi judicial also?
Yes. It would follow the
Ay,
same
ay,
process.
ay.
That if it's minor, then it would go to the growth management director, but if it's major.
Commissioner Campy.
Thank you very much. Lots of good news today. Appreciate it. On this particular one, the subcontractor, would he get the fee? He or she, the firm, would they get the fee?
That has to be negotiated. The county would give most of what we normally get for an application fee to the contractor. And it's kind of gray in how much more they can garner from the applicant. There is a provision for an hourly wage after that. But it seems like they would have to do it with a percentage of what we charge, which would...
Yeah, so it's like a split then.
Yeah.
And so the applicant would pay directly to the subcontractor.
No, it actually, we have to be the third party in that.
So then there's a lot of finance and bookkeeping
Right.
that has to go along with that. That's a new arm of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll only have 5 days to review it, so you'll give up a percentage of the money to them and then still have basically the same, we would require you, the citizens will require you to have the same oversight and review. You'll just have a couple of days to do it.
We're not allowed. It says we can only review it for completeness. We
Well, I
can't,
mean, you still have to do that.
but
I
we
mean,
can't review the substance of the application.
Understood,
Yeah.
but it's not like you're just passing it through. It's still going to have to require,
It's online with our completeness review that we do in the beginning of an application where we just
Check all the
say,
boxes.
You check the boxes. You've provided all the individual criteria, but we don't look at that criteria to see if it meets
For
code.
example, if you were required to have a preserve area management plan, they'll check to see that a preserve area management plan is included, but we can't determine whether or not the preserve area management plan meets all of our criteria because it's certified to do so. So all we can see is that that particular element is included. There's a report for stormwater. If it's absent, we can reject it, but we can't determine whether or not the water quality
has
treatment
to be there. We
provided
don't
in
know
it
if it's good or
was
bad.
there- yeah, all we can just say it's there or not.
and they can hire anybody from anywhere in the state. So if they hire a subcontractor out of Pensacola, the chances of us, the 5 of us, getting to meet with them is slim. And then let's say it comes to us It's been reviewed by an outside subcontractor, comes to us, and you said in the House version, we don't even really have the authority to deny it. The Senate version, we'd at least have some say, but let's say we denied it. It goes back to the subcontractor to be reviewed again?
I'd assume so. It gets really vague at that point of the program. It doesn't say about post-completion or the process going forward as much as it does just to get the qualified contractors involved.
Okay, Ms. Powers, you were smart to bring co-stars with you for each of these options, so you didn't have to give us the bad news all by yourself.
I know, I appreciate it.
Very clever, good for you.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yeah, those were some of the questions that I wanted to ask you, answered them. No sense in going over that. This is something that is going to be detrimental to Martin County. There are other counties that are smaller and more fiscally constrained, as Commissioner Capps was talking about numbers today, and I get all the numbers there. But we'll see.
Ms. Powers, a public speaker this morning brought up House Bill 1421 and Senate Bill 1658. Would you please track that for us, please?
I
This
have
is
it pulled up.
okay. Tell us about that bill too.
Yep. So in the House Bill 1421 is, I just heard it at the same time, so I haven't had time to review it, but it is placed on, it's passed fully the House. It has not moved in the Senate.
Okay. And tell me what the bill entails.
So just according to the quick summary, requires land managers to identify grazable areas on state-owned lands for cattle grazing and includes cattle grazing among methods used to control invasive plants. Mandates identification of existing grazable lands and consideration of appropriateness for leasing to private entities based on ecological, wildlife, and recreational goals. Specifies requirements such as maximum stocking rate, possible grazing term, and acceptable animal containment methods without converting native wildlife habit. Requires inclusion of cattle grazing provisions in land management plans and an explanation for excluding such leases. And adds cattle grazing as a potential strategy in the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission's invasive plant control program with an effective date of July 1, 2026.
All right. Keep me posted.
Yep. I will add that.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Yes.
So 2 more weeks.
2, yep.
Okay.
2.5. I'm headed up after this, and hopefully we have some meetings. The bill about ag enclaves is going to be heard on Thursday, in its amended form as
Where?
in the Senate, in Tallahassee.
I thought the Senate bill was going to be heard today.
Is it today? I think. Okay. This afternoon. I better hurry up.
So yeah, keep us posted. Yeah.
Get there on
Yeah.
So they're entering, after day 50, committees stop meeting. So we'll kind of have a better idea. Any bills that haven't had at least one committee stop by now probably will not move. But as we know in this world, anything can happen. So we'll continue to monitor these in addition to, a list of other bills. I did struggle to find any great news, but I know, I know with everything negative today, I do want to thank our legislators as well. They have taken the time over the last 7 weeks to meet with anybody that has come up, including, fire rescue. I've got a couple meetings set up. Our emergency management director, Sally, is coming up today for her day tomorrow, and they've all committed to meet with her tomorrow afternoon. So I do want to thank them. We do have a very accessible delegation, whether they do everything we ask them to, probably not, but they are very accessible and they do hear us. We were on a call with Rep. Snyder yesterday, so just wanted to give them a shout out at the end of this seemingly doom and gloom presentation. But I brought good co-stars.
And what do we know for certain about special sessions?
We know that there's for certain going to be one on congressional redistricting.
Okay.
That is set in that there hasn't been a set. I haven't seen any set date yet. But that's already kind of been predetermined with the lawsuits and everything that have been going on. That's just it's going to be pretty open and close. Rumors are that there's going to be a special session on property tax. Has not been confirmed yet. But the House and the governor both said that there will be something on the 2026 ballot. We just don't know what it will be yet. And of course, the Senate will need to at some point comply. So if that takes special session, then, or extending, hopefully not, but past the 60 days as happened last year. But budget wise, all things are on track for a 60-day finish and then special session after that.
Okay.
How many days on your countdown?
Let's see, 46. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Shall we take a 10-minute break?
Sure.
Thank you. Let's take up board appointments. The first one is Health Facilities Authority appointments.
Donna Gordon from Administration. You're asked to appoint 2 individuals. Mr. Louis Mark Cocorola received 5 votes. Mrs. Geraldine Jinko received 3 votes.
Is there a motion to approve Mr. Louis Mark Cocorola and Geraldine Jenko?
I'll move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any objection? That motion passes unanimously. We'll now go on to the Animal Care and Control Oversight Board appointment.
You're asked to appoint 1 person, and Mrs. Rita C. Nelson received 4 votes.
Okay.
I'll move approval of Ms. Rita Nelson.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any objections? That motion passes unanimously. And Industrial Development Authority appointments.
You're asked to appoint 1 person, and Mrs. Jamie Elfert received 4 votes.
I'll move approval of Ms. Jamie Elfert.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any opposition? That motion passes unanimously. We will now move on to public hearing number 1, which is a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 111, Article 5, false alarm reduction.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. This is a ordinance that is going to amend the false alarm reduction ordinance. This was requested by the Sheriff and the Code Enforcement Division of Martin County. They have been working together to come up with a way for individuals who are cited under this ordinance to appeal. So these are just some minor changes to the ordinance to reflect the process that they worked out. Most of the changes are in section 111.126. It just provides for the written notice that'll be provided to the property owners. It also allows the board to set an administrative fee for an appeal by resolution, and then it provides that the penalties and fees that are assessed under this ordinance would not be subject to reduction like our code enforcement liens. Also included is a resolution establishing a fee of $50. The Sheriff and Code Enforcement Division thought that that was a fair fee because it covers the cost of the magistrate staff time. It actually doesn't cover it, but it offsets it. So they're recommending an administrative fee of $50. And that kind of summarizes the changes. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from Ms. Elder. Commissioner Vargas.
So if I have a lot of false alarms, what happens now? They come out, they respond.
So that's kind of the goal of this ordinance, is to prevent that. So if you look, the fees for false alarms are already established, and it's under section 111.124. So your first and second false alarm would be a $25 penalty, and then as they increase, the fee increases. So it goes to 100, it goes to 50, 75, 100, 150. So that's the goal, is to prevent the sheriff from unnecessarily going to businesses. And they haven't had an appeal process, so they haven't been assessing the fee. So we're finalizing all this so they can start assessing these fees to save, their unnecessary time.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any further questions from Ms. Elder? I see we have the sheriff. Sheriff, would you like to address us?
I don't know that he knew this was happening today.
Commissioner, it's great to be here this morning. I'm just here to check on our people. We thought we may have some issues, so we're just here for you today. So we're here to keep you safe. I was not here for the ordinance, but I do support it. We have one establishment in Indian Town that we've had over 2,000 false alarms to. Wow. And we want alarms to be serious when our deputies respond out there, and that's the goal. And most businesses, they work with us, we work with them, they keep themselves in check. So this will be beneficial to all of us. Keep our deputies in play and make sure we're responding to the ones that we need to respond to. Other than that, thank you.
Sheriff, while you're here, I will tell you that we are very well protected by Deputy Pine right there. He is handled, I feel very safe and comfortable with his watchful eye.
Thank you, Deputy. Thank you. Yes.
And Sheriff, as long as you're here, you need to apprise us of anything that's going on in the county?
E-bikes.
Well, I'm hoping you fix the e-bike problem, Commissioner. But we are actually tracking with legislation for Tallahassee, so I think it's smart doing what we're doing, kind of waiting. We have a workshop that we're working on, kind of waiting on Florida legislators to see what they propose before we try to bolster our ordinances with that. Some positive news out of Tallahassee. We've got through the first hurdle on our some funding for our mental health pod in the jail, so that's big. Right now, we have hopefully on the table around $7 million. We're obviously hoping for more than that, but I know our state representative Snyder has worked hard on that, so we're looking forward to that coming in. I know that's a big ask and it's a big tax lift down the road, so we appreciate him kind of spearheading that.
You need to work on the Senate, Sheriff,
We have.
because you don't have that much money in the Senate.
Yes, and I don't understand their processes, and I know there's 350,000 in the Senate, but it's my understanding the way that they structure money up there, that just having money in the Senate is good for us. So I've asked that question. I understand what you're saying, but it's looking good.
We'll help you in any way that we can.
We know that.
Yep.
Thank you.
We're happy
Thanks.
you're the sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Flattering. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you.
We just need to have public comment and a vote.
Would anyone from the public like to address us on the matter of false alarms? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing portion. And is there a motion to move staff's recommendation?
I make a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We will now move on to public hearing number 2, which is a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Division 6, Site Development Standards, Article 11, Planned Mixed-Use Village Land Development Regulations regarding excavation standards. Mr. Sinnott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm John Sennett, Principal Planner with Growth Management. This is a request by Gunster, Yoakley, and Stuart on behalf of Mattamy Palm Beach for approval of an amendment to Division 6, Site Development Standards, Article 11, Planned Mixed-Use Village Land Development Regulations, Martin County Code, to add excavation standards for projects within the Planned Mixed-Use Village zoning district. Article 11 was approved in 2018 through the adoption of Ordinance 1083. Article 11 regulates the Newfield project, formerly known as Pineland Prairie. Newfield encompasses approximately 3,411 acres in western Palm City, just south of the C-23 canal. This proposed amendment would add excavation standards to Division 6, Site Development Standards, Article 11. The proposed maximum excavation depth would be 40 feet, provided that the bottom of excavations must be at least 30 feet above the confining unit of the upper Floridan Aquifer Hawthorne Group. Material excavated below 15 feet would be restricted to sand. The proposed amendment establishes setbacks of excavations from rights-of-way, property lines, as well as wells and septic systems. Excavations in the vicinity of wetlands would continue to be subject to Divisions 1 and 2 of Article 4 LDR. The proposed amendment contains sampling, reporting, and monitoring requirements which are consistent with the existing excavation and fill standards found in Division 8, Excavating, Filling, and Mining, Article 4 LDR. This matter was heard before the LPA this past Thursday, February 19th. The LPA voted 3-0, recommending approval, with 2 members being absent. Staff recommendation is to move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report, as Exhibit 1, and move that the board adopt the proposed ordinance amending Article 11, Planned Mixed-Use Village Land Development Regulations, Martin County Code. That concludes my presentation.
Questions for Mr. Sinnott? Seeing none, does the applicant have a presentation?
That's my stopwatch.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you to staff for the thoughtful presentation and for the recommendation of approval. I'm Kristen Spake of the Gunster Law Firm here on behalf of Mattamy, brought members of the development team along with us to speak with you. But before they come up, I just want to reinforce briefly a couple of points that were already made, which are, one, as you know, Newfield is governed by Article 11 of the Land Development Regulations, and that's the article that we're asking to amend specifically. And so if this request is granted, the change to the code will apply only to the Newfield project as the only project that's subject to that Article 11 planned mixed-use village. So that's important to note that with this change, it doesn't mean that landholders outside of this Newfield development can come and try to make use of the amendment that we're asking for. It's just for Newfield, solely within Newfield. And the other point that I wanted to reinforce was simply that this language that we're requesting was adapted from language that you all have already heard and considered and vetted and elected to approve in your division, I think it's Division 8, Article 4. So that the language that we're asking you to approve today specifically for Newfield is derived from language that has already been considered and deemed worthy of approval by you all. And so with that, if I can have you hear from a couple of our team, you'll hear from James Fitzgerald of Mattamy Homes, also Bob Higgins, our engineering expert, and Sean McKenzie will talk about traffic. So James will speak with you first about why Newfield's asking for this change.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is James Fitzgerald. I work with Mattamy Homes. I'm the Vice President of Development. I'm responsible for the Newfield project, which is why I'm here before you this morning. First and foremost, I wanted to thank you for your time and attention to our request, and also thank staff for their thoroughness and professionalism that they've demonstrated, as they always do, throughout the review process. So fundamentally, what we're seeking is, our request is, the nature of it is really flexibility and helping us use strategic and thoughtful development techniques by allowing us to obtain fill closer to the neighborhood footprints where it's needed. So what this will directly do is reduce construction traffic in the future, and that would be impacting the newly completed Newfield Parkway roadway widening project. This is a county thoroughfare road that bifurcates the property, and as a part of our developer's agreement that was assigned to us, we had to widen that roadway. We've just completed that roadway along with the landscaping enhancements, hardscaping enhancements, so I think it's in our best interest to try to protect that as time goes on and minimize the wear and tear to that roadway as well as others. Because the decision that we would be facing is, we either would have to probably truck in fill from a different lake location using Newfield Parkway inevitably, or import fill from elsewhere using not only Newfield Parkway, but certainly other public roads as well. So the limitation on wear and tear, in our opinion, really helps and benefits multiple constituencies. But beyond the practical and the cost reduction benefits of this request, we've also considered the potential environmental effects and sought to mitigate those to the greatest extent possible. Newfield was designed with sustainability and land stewardship in the forefront. So when we were thinking about making this request, we wanted to make sure that this request and this application was that upholds to the Newfield goals and values as it relates to sustainability. So what we've done as a part of the due diligence effort is we've undertaken all the geotechnical testing and all the water quality monitoring that would be required of us, just to make sure that if we did bring this request forward, that we've done our homework and we know that we're not coming up here for no reason. We're coming up here for a reason that we think is really a benefit to everybody around the area, including folks that are taxpayers, including Newfield residents, as it relates to minimizing that wear and tear. So with that said, as Kristen mentioned, we've got some subject matter experts with us on our team that are here, and so I'm going to invite Bob Higgins to come and make a few remarks as well. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Bob Higgins with Higgins Engineering. Excuse me. I've got a lengthy background in dealing with lake depths, and including Palm Beach County. I helped them with their mining ordinance, and I did help Martin County with coming up with criteria to allow excavation depths going greater than 20 feet. The primary objective is to protect drinking water aquifers. And one of the primary focuses on protection is their connate water. Connate water is trapped seawater at lower depths because of the density. It sits at the bottom of the aquifer. You don't want to excavate into connate water. It'll contaminate the superficial aquifer where most of our drinking water supplies come from. The second factor is you don't want to tap into the Florida aquifer, which in Martin County is easily over 100 feet down. So none of these lakes are going to penetrate into the Floridan, but the reason why is the Floridan beneath Martin County is salt water. It's got a lot of salt water from saltwater intrusion, so you don't want to, again, contaminate your aquifer. So part of the testing that was done to allow a 40-foot depth is to go down to 40 feet, look at geologic structure, and also test it for chlorides to make sure that it's not into connate water. And it passed those tests. And so, based on my recommendation is that's an allowable depth for the excavations within Newfield. With that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from Mr. Higgins? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The experts wear beige jackets.
I got the memo. Yeah, good morning, Sean McKenzie. I'm a professional engineer with McKenzie Engineering and Planning. I have over 25 years of experience in transportation engineering, and 20 of those, at least 20 of those, are working in Martin County. And I do have experience on multiple mine projects in the area and have transportation experience within Newfield itself. I really see a huge benefit of this on terms of reducing the number of trucks that would either be utilizing or crossing Newfield Parkway. Estimate that somewhere in the range of 200,000 trucks that would no longer need to cross the road. So from that, that'd be a huge reduction in the impact to the roadway structure itself. There'd be a significantly reduced delay to the traveling public because all those trucks entering the roadway need maintenance of traffic. So we're not going to be slowing down all those residents who are already utilizing the roadway. And then in terms of air quality, those trucks are going a much shorter distance, so we see significantly improved air quality from the particulate matter that gets ejected by those diesel vehicles. So overall, just see a huge benefit by reducing those trip lengths of the trucks from where they are mining and where they need to go. Thank you.
Questions? Commissioner Campy.
Not so much questions, just prepared to make a motion for staff's recommendation. I did watch the LPA meeting. We have had other lakes, other requests to dig down to 40 feet, and we have accepted them. I think the comment in regards to utilizing the resources of their property on their property is an advantage, as well as the fact that all those trucks driving up and down Citrus and Newfield Parkway would have to drive right past Citrus Grove Elementary School, which we're already hearing is an interesting school zone crosswalk area. And the fact that they have brought this, I believe, a beautiful project to Martin County that we have given many approvals in the past several years, as well as the fact that they've come here and asked, they brought their experts to say they're not having an detrimental environmental impact. So I would make a motion to accept staff's recommendation and their request because they've been good partners and Martin County taxpayers. Thank you.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, I had my meeting with a young lady from Gunster, and also with you two representing, there were some questions that I had about the roadway. Would you please address those? Because of that in perpetuity, I mean, there was a little bit, well, you were going to find out about it, and this is the moment to do it.
Yeah, so the questions, Commissioner, that you were asking were regarding perpetual maintenance and the obligations, which again are pursuant to the development agreement from, I believe it was 2020 when it was recorded. And how it reads is that the master developer is responsible in perpetuity for maintenance of streetlights, street trees, landscape, tree wells, and grates, open stormwater management, retention or detention areas, bioswales, and swales on all roadways. Upon completion of construction by master developer and acceptance by county engineer of a street within a public right-of-way, the county will maintain the traffic control devices such as stop and speed limit signs, traffic signals, roundabouts, sidewalks, travel lanes, curbs, gutters, and stormwater management inlets, manholes, culverts, and exfiltration trenches. For all streets not constructed within a public right-of-way, master developer shall be responsible for the maintenance and perpetuity of all components as identified on each applicable final site plan.
Okay, so within your property, you're saying the developer will take care of everything on the other that's a split?
It's
As we
based on
spoke
the
about,
final
I
site
took
plan
notes.
process. So there's been circumstances where there have been streets within the property that are kind of these main thoroughfares that we've discussed whether or not it would be a county obligation or a developer and CDD obligation. So far, we've taken maintenance of all those streets thus far, but I don't know if the county wants to accept those for one reason or another, then we'll certainly be open to the discussion. Thus far, they've been district streets.
Okay, so that's within your district with CDD?
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
everything there, yeah, that's imposed.
And then, again, Newfield Parkway and this portion's a county thoroughfare.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Yep, I'm going to accept the testimony of the witnesses or the experts, and I'll second Commissioner Campy's motion.
I have a request to speak form from Jackie Thurlow-Lippisch. Good morning.
Good morning. Jackie Thurlow-Lippisch, 18 Riverview Drive in the town of Sewell's Point, just a few houses down from Mr. Knight Kiplinger. I think that much of this project is involving others than just him at this time. Since you all are getting ready to accept this perhaps, could you please show on a map where these lakes are? And that's a major bird area. I mean, I'm just curious, and perhaps all this has been done somewhere else, but it seems like for public purposes, it would be good to know where these are, and or are they dead lakes?
Does the applicant have a?
I just have a printout of a master site plan. Probably not
So the regulating plan, I think, shows where many of these are, and we have got like a piece of paper we can show you today, but I don't know that there's anything that's not already showing up on what's in the, Article 11 Plan Mixed Use Village. There's a graphic in there, and appreciate the question. Chairwoman.
I
John
believe
said
that
it.
this applies to all the newly constructed lakes. They weren't priorly existing. This was all part of the master plan development for Newfield, where they had identified lakes in the original master plan, and it just allows them to go to a deeper depth than originally in the land development regulations.
Chairwoman Hurd.
May I approach?
Sure.
I'm sorry, but so it appeared that you were speaking to all of us. So these are man-made lakes? Okay, none of the natural lakes. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that.
Mr. Campy.
I was going to follow similarly. These are lakes that they could build and dig to 20 feet. They're just asking to be able to dig them deeper. And just to reiterate the fact that this project, probably more so than any other project, has set aside, to Ms. Thurlow-Lippish's point about bird habitat, they set aside the Kiplinger Conservancy. They have put, as Knight requested, thousands of acres into conservation land that will be preserved forever. So these are more like the residential lakes that are being, or the, on the side, the portion of the project that they are allowed to be digging 20 feet, and now they're just going to dig 40 so that they can have enough product to utilize on the continued construction and development of this site itself. So, but good point, as usual.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yeah, I was just going to request, if it was necessary, because we had a member of the audience wanted to know about the map and how it was laid out, if we could have one of those come up to be able to show those that might have a question about this. I understand that they are man-made. They are not natural. But if they could be pointed out, that would be super.
John Sennett, Martin County Growth Manager. For the record, I'm going to pull up the Martin County LDR, the regulating plan shown in Article 11. I don't recall if the lake configurations are shown on that regulating plan, but I will pull that up right now. And I would also like to clarify that this proposed ordinance does not grant any relief from the typical littoral planting requirements. All of these lakes are still going to be subject to that planting requirements along the littoral shelves, which will provide, habitat for birds in the future. This is the regulating plan from Article 11. It does not, from a regulatory aspect, have lake locations delineated.
Unfortunately, our doc cam is not working, so you'll have to rely on your verbal descriptions, yes.
Paint a picture
parade
with
in
words,
front of
okay?
us with it.
So we did bring, James would bring a printout and we can show you, but I apologize for not preparing something better for you, since we're just asking for a text amendment here. We didn't bring any, site plans or graphics, because this amendment will give us the potential ability to dig deeper into man-made lakes. It's not guaranteed. We still have to be able to pass all the safeguards and thresholds that Mr. Higgins helped Martin County put into place when they originally passed the Article 8, I think it was, text amendment. And so this is just the option to potentially dig deeper in these man-made lakes that we have on this piece of paper to show you today. So I should kind of just describe where they are. Whatever. So James will be better at this picture painting than me.
So again, we've got the regulations that are already in place in the Martin County LDRs. Those prescribe setbacks from wetlands and features like that. And then we have a conceptual stormwater plan that outlined different types of drainage basins, the water quality requirements, and stage storage requirements for those. So based on the setback criteria for these wetlands that are, I think we have almost 400 acres of wetlands on the site, and then the locations of where we need stormwater ponds for water quality and attenuation, that's how the lakes had been located. And so those locations have not changed. Thus far, we've only dug one of them on the far north end of the property, and then there's been a second lake that was needed as part of the Newfield Parkway widening project for water quality, and that was constructed, and the right-of-way was conveyed to the county because it's a separate stormwater system subject to a separate South Florida Water Management ERP.
Commissioner Katz.
Yes, all of you did a great job presenting and speaking about the matter. I was most persuaded by what Mr. Higgins had to say, and it was very interesting learning about what could be the concern with going too deep. From what I heard was that there's a column of water called conated water that's like salty, and if you get too deep, you run the risk of contaminating the good water. And then if you go down even further, you can get into the fluoride which has a similar situation, salty water getting into the good water. And I thought it was interesting that this is like a specialty of his, and that he's worked with Palm Beach County on the matter. And I was quite persuaded by what he had to say. So I'm comfortable with the notion of doing this. We've done it in a couple of other places, as I remember. So I will be in support.
Yeah, I'm not going to be supporting this. Excavation rapidly becomes mining. Until very recently in Martin County, the maximum excavation depth was 15 feet. Until very, very recently. And it was 15 feet for a very good reason. You'll probably remember, if you've been around here long enough, you'll remember that about 15 years ago, we had a statewide moratorium on mining because of the damage that mining was having in Fort Lauderdale, in Broward County. It was so degrading the aquifer there. And you also, if you've been around for a while, remember the debates over Florida aggregates and the benefits that it was supposed to bring. And it didn't bring any of those because it had been mined and it was full of chlorides. There is mining, it deeper endangers aquifers. There is no doubt. There's environmental damage that needs, and we need to do all that we can to protect water quality in Martin County. This project was supposed to be the poster child for good stewardship of land, and I don't believe that asking to mine 20 feet deeper is being a good steward of the land. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? That motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Let's see, PH3 is 505, right? Take up Department 1, Office of Management and Budget items that require board approval.
I've got a PH4 before Department 1. I'm 2 in a row.
Okay.
Good day for you.
Yeah.
PH4 in that case.
Mini
Fund
business.
balance. Oh, yes,
Yes.
this is exciting.
Yes. Super exciting. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. This is Stephanie Murley. I'm the Director of the Office of Management and Budget. I'm presenting to you PH4, which are our fund balance adjustments for fiscal year 2026. This public hearing is our annual fund balance adjustment for FY 2026. Each year, once we close out the prior fiscal year, we update the budget to reflect the actual fund balance rather than the estimates we used during the budget adoption process. The majority of fund balance adjustments are carry forward funding for projects that were approved in fiscal year 25 but weren't completed by September 30th, 2025. This adjustment allows those projects to continue without disruption, and any remaining unassigned funds are placed into reserves. For FY 26, we saw stronger than anticipated non-ad valorem revenues, including state revenue sharing, sales taxes, interest earning, and fee-based services. Several parks and recreation facilities generated positive net revenues, allowing reinvestment into those facilities through fixed asset replacement funding, or FARBs. We are also replenishing and strengthening the Disaster Recovery Fund to ensure we're prepared for future disasters or catastrophic events. These adjustments are a normal and sound fiscal practice authorized under Florida statutes and were advertised in the Stuart News on Friday, February 20th. And with that, staff recommends that the board adopt the FY26 budget resolutions to allocate the available fund balance as presented for the continuation of business. And this is a public hearing.
Questions for Ms. Murley? Would anyone from the public like to address us? Commissioner Vargas.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ms. Burley. Very concise you always are, and I really appreciate it. You do know your craft. What is the amount? Am I missing? Which page might that be on?
It's a cumulative amount through all of the general, the budget resolutions. There's 26 budget resolutions. I could name them all for you, but
I see them.
So they cumulatively, it's millions of dollars based on previous year's reallocation of all those projects and operations.
All right, so it would just be adding all these pages together?
Yes.
Where there's a total?
Yes,
You
and-
don't have you're not going to make it easy for me. I can add it up.
I can get with you later. The advertisement had the
great.
total on it.
That would be great. So this will be carried forth?
Yes.
Forward,
So
excuse
it's
me.
not an increase in taxes, it's just taking last year's leftover money and reallocating it to this year's budget, which is basically just a general accounting adjustment into this fiscal year.
I understand.
It's also important to note that we rely on that rollover amount in predicting your overall budget. So we next year's budget and this budget actually anticipated these rollover funds in order to accomplish all the tasks that were included in our overall budget. Thank you.
That's correct.
Commissioner Capps.
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Excuse me.
Now we'll take up Department 1.
All right. For Department 1 today, our first item is permission to apply for the American Associations of Retired Persons, or the AARP Community Challenge Grant. Our Human Services Department is requesting a grant application of $15,000 to provide access to housing with increased safety accommodations for Martin County residents, and there is no cash match required. Item number 2 is a permission to apply for the FY26 Small County Outreach Program, or the SCOP grant, through FDOT for the Southwest 84th Avenue and Southwest Bush Street resurfacing and reconstruction project. Our Public Works Department is requesting a grant in the amount of $1,337,538 for the resurfacing and reconstruction of Southwest 84th Avenue and Southwest Bush Street. There is a match required of $445,846, which will be funded with FY32 Roads Capital Improvement Funds.
What's the Newfield connector?
Jim Gordon, Public Works Director. The road that Newfield is going to build is 84th Street, so they're going to build the piece that's north of Bush Street up to Newfield Parkway. This grant is for the piece that's south of Bush Street down to 714.
Was there ever a requirement that they resurface that also?
No.
So just to construct the northern?
They're going to construct the northern section, which will take some of the traffic pressure off of Newfield Parkway and Citrus Boulevard.
Okay, thanks.
Item number 3 is a permission to apply for the FY26 SCOP grant through FDOT for Southwest Sunset Trail resurfacing and reconstruction project. Our Public Works Department is requesting a grant award of $4,964,947 for the resurfacing and reconstruction of segments of Southwest Sunset Trail and widening of the bridge with a culvert. There is a grant match required of $1,654,982, which will be programmed with the FY32 Roads Capital Improvement Funds. Item number 4 is a permission to apply for the fiscal year 2026 Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission State Wildlife Grant for the MC2 Shoreline Stabilization Project. Our Public Works Department is requesting to apply for $65,000 to design, permit, and engineer a breakwater to stabilize the shoreline, add sediments, and plant mangroves that will improve the quality of nesting on Bird Island Critical Wildlife Area. There is a grant match of $35,000, which is currently budgeted in the FY26 MC2 Shoreline Stabilization Project CIP sheet. Item number 5 is a permission to accept the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, or FDEP, grant for the S1 Canal Channel Enhancement Project. Our Public Works Department is requesting the acceptance of $1 million to support the design and construction of regional water quality treatment improvements along the portion of the S1 canal adjacent to agricultural lands in Martin County. There is a commitment from the county of $250,000 of county funds, and we will also be applying for an additional $1.7 million through future funding opportunities. And the current funding is programmed within the S1 Canal Channel Capital Improvement Plan sheet.
Ms. Murley, can you stop for a minute?
Yes.
Can someone please describe this wonderful project? It's a pilot project, it's a terrific project, it's unprecedented, and we hope that there will be many that follow.
My name is John Mayle, Environmental Resource Administrator. So this is the first project that of a group of projects that was identified in our 2020 Water Quality Needs Assessment, where an innovative engineering firm identified an opportunity for us to look at our conveyance systems in the county, what we commonly call ditches. The county owns about 50 miles of conveyance system that is wide enough and has the right basin loading to provide water quality treatment within the conveyance system. So essentially it's they'll design some kind of benching, meandering, vegetation implementation, and dredging to make those canal systems provide water quality treatment while they move the water through. And hopefully also one of our objectives would be to increase level of service for flood protection.
And where is this?
This is just west of, it's at the end of Markle Street, in west end of Palm City Farms. It'd be the west side of Hawks Hammock, and on the west side of that, there's an agricultural operator that really goes from Martin Highway all the way down to the C-44, and that whole basin drains to the C-44.
And Hawks Hammock is a county-owned property with public access.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Thank you.
And our last item is a permission to accept the FY26 Department of Children and Families, or the DCF, Water Safety Campaign Rip Current Simulator for Ocean Rescue. Our Ocean Rescue Division of Fire Rescue Department is requesting the acceptance of $13,900 for the reimbursement of funds for the purchase of a Riptide training simulator. This program is used to support training efforts aimed at preventing drownings caused by rip currents. And there is no cash match required from the county.
Commissioner Campy.
Yes, I had a couple of questions about that
I expected those.
and a suggestion.
Sure.
If there's anyone here from Ocean Rescue. Good morning, sir. Appreciate you. I happen to be on a beach in Palm Beach County this weekend, and they had just recently installed a sort of a matting system that came up over the dune and then sort of found its way to the shoreline. And right at the beginning of it, it said that it was provided by a grant by FPL. And I know that I think all of us have received emails asking for some type of an ADA ramp that would allow folks that are either in wheelchairs or have some other type of handicaps that would be able to access the ocean. And so I figured this was a good time to segue if you and Ms. Murley could look into that FPL grant specifically for the beaches. It was probably 4 feet wide, had like where the sand could even pass through it. And it came from basically the parking lot right on the sandy portion, up over the dune, all the way down to the water's edge. And I know that we have had requests for something similar, and since it's a grant option, and it had like a 4 foot by 4 foot sign, like tacked right into the sand, saying that it was provided by a grant from FPL. So I was hoping that that's something that you could look into, even if it was just one or the, ideally if it could be at a couple of beaches would be terrific, but even if we could just try it as a prototype test to see if it works, because I know that, our parking lots and our snack bar areas are ADA, but once you get to the sand, you're out of luck, so.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work with the Parks Department on
That would be great.
coordinate with the FPL for that grant.
Thank you. And then this with the rip current, Where will these items be? Like, is this just where you train and everyone trains at the same spot, or is it going to be one in Hope Sound? Is it going to be one in Stuart? Is it going to be one in Jensen?
Yeah, and for the record, Ian Mojula, Ocean Rescue Chief. So we would have these portable machines. They're essentially just swim machines. So if you've ever seen, you put them in a pool, you swim against them, they'll work great as to simulate a rip current.
Okay.
So we plan to partner with the Parks Department at Sailfish Splash to implement these machines in their pool and simulate what a rip current might feel like to the general public, but in a controlled setting. Obviously, we don't want to throw people in the ocean and do a rip current and say, hey, good luck. Right? So,
see you on the other side.
Right. So if we can do it in a controlled environment, have some of our staff available to teach the public how to get out of a rip current, what to do, how to stay calm, how to call for help, kind of give them the tools that they need to prevent a tragedy at the beach.
Well, sadly, I think we had a tragedy not that long ago, so I think this is the level of training, not just for our personnel, but for beachgoers, is a great idea. Thank you very much for doing it.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes. I think it's important at this moment because we are planning the Jensen Beach Cafe. We're right. Laying it out. We talked about ADA, and that's all fine. But is there something more that we need to do, and maybe in consultation with our Parks Director, we might be able to implement something like this for those that may not have the facility, to walk on the sand once they come off the boardwalk from the cafe, and also Stuart Beach too, and Bathtub. And I don't know if this pertains to any of the other auxiliary beaches that are up and down A1A on Hutchison Island.
Yeah, I certainly think it's important that we do have that ADA access at our beaches, and our lifeguards, we do have the beach wheelchairs available. So if individuals need to get access to the beach, we do have those wheelchairs available so that they can enjoy the beach and get access where they need to.
Yeah, I'm really familiar with it. They house them at Bathtub Beach. Mr. Mail, may I ask you a question? What we were talking about a moment ago about this new feature to enable folks, to get over the dune easier, besides wheelchairs, because, everybody's not there all the time, from your department, I mean. Is there something that we could use for Hutchison Island beaches from this particular
For the record,
program?
John Mayle, Environmental Resource Administrator. I can put on one of my older hats from State Park days where I think what was mentioned, we would call it Moby Mat. And you can roll this out, and it is very effective. It requires some maintenance. You don't set it and forget it, but they are very effective. I think we would just have to look at the individual sites and look at the reach and the pitch and determine where it's appropriate and what the most appropriate vehicle is for getting folks to the beach. It would be site by site, probably.
Right, so this is a mobile mat, you said?
We call it Moby Mat. I think
Moby-Mat.
a vendor name for the product that's probably most ubiquitous for this, but it's.
So if I can jump in, we do have the Moby Mat. We've used it extensively at Bathtub Beach. It obviously gets deployed and retrieved, as the beach comes and goes. And our dune walkover structures have generally been all designed so they could have switchbacks for wheelchairs to get to the beach and the accessible wheelchairs on the beach. I think some of the evolution is to have more at-grade crossings where it's easier to, using the combination of either Moby maps or other stabilized ground to have the grade easier to get to the beach. But all of those elements we've employed and continue to evolve less costly and easier to maintain tools to get our disabled to the beach.
Yes, I understand that. So is there something we need to do to look at, because we're right in the planning stages, as I say, for Jensen Beach?
That we're required by law to provide these facilities, and so we are constantly working on with our Parks Department on those accessible routes to the beach to provide the same experience for those that are mobile challenged as those that are not. So the direction, we appreciate the board's pointing that out. I think we will continue to encourage our Parks Department to see where else. I think the grant, if there are some FP&L grants to get us some more of these mats, I think that's great. We will follow up on that. Thank you.
That would be great.
Commissioner Campy.
Just the two quick points. These mats it was Ocean Reef Beach on, they were a couple of weeks old. They were just installed, so it's a new thing, and they're permanent. They don't put them out. And, yes, I'm sure if you were mobility impaired, but also for senior citizens, I know, folks, my parents are in their almost 90 years old, but still just to be able to, walking in the sand is tough. So this gave them sort of like environmental sidewalk, if you will, right down onto the beach versus some seniors that come with the family and they were leery of walking in the sand for a multitude of reasons, end up staying out by the parking lot and not being able to go. So just a suggestion, when I saw you in the back of the room in your Class A's, I figured it's a perfect opportunity to ask. Thank you.
Any further questions? Is there a motion to approve Department 1?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Department 4 is Art and Public Places Program Manual and Budget Review for approval.
Oh, okay. All
Good
right,
morning.
thank you.
Good morning,
Thank you so much.
Commissioners. Susan Cora's Office of
Very
Community
artsy.
Development. My Community Development Coordinator, Elise Rafa, is handing out some goodies to you. I am sorry that it's right before lunch and there are no snacks in
Yeah,
there.
right.
So that, I overlooked
Take it
that, so I
back.
apologize.
It's a pad.
I will explain
Okay, I'm gonna use that
as we
Jim.
go along.
Yep, a new one.
And of course, we did not forget Donna and Layla as well.
Most important.
Exactly correct, when you're sitting here for sure. Okay. So we're here to update you on the Martin County Art and Public Places program. This is a countywide program, and along with historic preservation, is managed and operated out of the Office of Community Development. I'm going to start with reviewing the manual, the program manual, and if you had a chance to take a look at the old versus the new in your packet, it does become obvious the difference between the creative touch, which is sitting here to my right, and the not so much, which would be me. So the new manual has a much more artistic vibe. It's simpler, it's cleaner, it's shorter, and I think it really gets the job done. So let's dive in. Our mission is to enhance Martin County's visual landscape by integrating public art into both natural and built environments, thereby enriching the community's cultural experience and unique identity. And I read that because it is important to what we do. Our program goals: cultural enrichment, artistic variety, quality and relevance, professional excellence, and broad accessibility. When you look at the new manual, and I'm going to do a little bit of a summary for you, the relevant information has been reorganized with more of a values framework, and we used these program goals, and that helps steer our art selection and some of the investment decisions that we bring to you. The manual tries to follow the life cycle of a public art project, so we've rewritten a lot of the narrative and put it into concise bullet format with headings. We worked very diligently with legal to present more consistency in our selection methods, our evaluation, our criteria, our timelines, to make sure that everything matches, everything makes sense, and it's compliant, and that all of our regulations are easily understood, clearly defined for the public and for us. So those are pretty much a summary of the changes of the manual, and I'm happy to go through it page by page, but I'm not sure you really want to do that. Moving on, moving on. Okay. We're good with that. All right. So next, just a quick program summary for those watching at home. The program was established in 1997. We are governed by Chapter 13, Martin County Ordinances. We are funded through a set-aside of 1% on eligible county projects. And we have an annual allocation approved by the Board of County Commissioners in 2018, I believe, of $50,000 per year if no set-aside is available. We distribute those funds, roughly 70% towards the acquisition of new art and 30% to administration of the program and to maintenance of our inventory. The program is overseen by the Public Art Advisory Committee, which we call the PAC, kind of like OCD, maybe better, I don't know. They are comprised of the 7 members of the CRA board, and they identify locations for new art. They look at the scope for artist calls and things that we put out to the community, and they approve those, and they select artists and artworks to recommend for your final approval of those artists and the locations of those artworks. This is a list of our inventory. You can see the artwork name, the artist, and the location where it is in the county. In 2017, when I first started with the program, we had 15. We now have 26 according to this list when I sent it through the approval process, and since that we now have 28. And we'll get into that in future slides. So each one of our artworks has a maintenance program, and it has, which is a plan and a budgetary projection. I do have budget pages to show you later on in the presentation. Our inventory is evaluated by our staff on a regular basis, and we generally use professional restorers that we know here in Martin County on the Treasure Coast, or the artist themselves is often contracted to perform maintenance on their artwork. And I will point out this particular one for several reasons. One is because it was maintained by the artist. Her name is Jessica Liddell, and she came years ago, you can see in 2021, to restore this we call it the Florida Wildlife Mosaics. And I pointed out especially because on each one of the bags that you were given is a Florida wildlife mosaic. We used this past Arts Fest. I know several of you were there. And we used this as our art project to do with the community. So we gave out bags with their choice of the wildlife mosaic. So we wanted to share that with all of you as well. Just to give you a quick look at our newest acquisitions, this is Serenity. She's a mosaic that hangs over at the Blake Library, acquired in 2023. In 2024, we have Port Salerno pelicans, 3 beautiful pelicans in different positions, and some interesting facts about Port Salerno and pelicans, acquired in 2024. 8 mosaic benches and artistic bike racks for Rio. All of these, by the way, have been done by local artists right here in Martin County. Again in Rio in 23 and 24. And one of the newer Manatee Pocket Mooring Field facility has received this gorgeous glass mosaic. It actually goes on the building in that big square in the middle. And it's a gorgeous glass mosaic done by Jim and Tess Dirks. They had a store down in Stuart, a glass store for many, many years. They've relocated, I think, up on US 1, and that was acquired just last year in 2025. Looks good. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And this one, recently acquired as well, is aptly named because yesterday, on a very windy day, it was a windy day they would never forget, was installed at the patio in Palm City. Yeah. It was something. I will do a quick shout out to the Field Operations Division. I don't know, they just work their magic, and you think that they're just field ops, and what does that really mean? But actually, they're fine art installation people. We watched it yesterday. There is video, so you will be seeing some of that. It was really amazing. The other thing I'd like to say,
When will we be unveiling it?
we will be unveiling this Saturday, the 28th, at about 6 p.m., right before the patio has its music series. So if anyone's interested, come on down. We've already had lots of folks commenting. It is covered right now. We've had lots of folks commenting on it, especially during the installation. And we don't have a camera here, and unfortunately this was not included because it was taken yesterday by other art aficionados in Martin County who stopped to take a look and give us their approval.
So that could be a sculpture, those three buildings.
It could.
Gorgeous.
It could. So our acquisition strategies are calls to artists, open project proposals, direct purchase, which we have done a little bit of, partnership with local schools, which we've done, and donation or loan, and we do have those as well. We do a lot of community engagement. It's one way, of course, to get the message out and let people know. And the ways that we do that is artwork dedication ceremonies, celebrating our new installations. We will have a few of those coming up. I'll keep you apprised. Sponsorship of Arts Fest each year, and community presentations to raise public awareness. So just to give you a quick recap of Arts Fest, this was 2025, and we did a centennial theme. We had some local artists come out and paint murals of what they thought Martin County would look like in 100 years. It was kind of an interesting day. Arts Fest 2024, we had our middle school friends all come out and show off their chalk painting skills. 2023, we did, local artists came and painted some picnic tables, and these picnic tables were made by Project Lift. So we got a local nonprofit involved, and then we did an auction at Martin Arts at the Cultural Courthouse, and the proceeds of these went back to Martin Arts and to Project Lift.
I think you guys should do that again. That was a great.
That was fun, yeah, that was fun. So how does the public feel about public art? In 2023, Americans for the Arts did a public opinion study on the power of public art, and we've put up some of the positive impacts that they discovered and some of the statistics that they learned. And really, it's very focused on how art increases social cohesion, quality of life, community unification, cultural identity, and understanding. And that's really what this says. So we decided we would do our own, and last year we did, how does Martin County feel about public art? So this is the survey that we did. It ran most of the year, and you found it all kinds of different places at community meetings, social media, our website, in the lobby of this building. We pretty much annoyed everybody that we possibly could to answer. We had about 300 folks take the survey, and this is what they said, that they believe it's very important to have in the community. They said we were 46% good for art in public places, overall impact. So I'm hoping in a year or two I'm going to bring you that where the blue part is much bigger than all the others. They told us what they'd like to see. The top three were sculptures, functional art, and murals. And I'm going to show you what I mean by functional art in a moment. And where they have the most impact. Parks and recreational spaces and downtown and commercial areas all make perfect sense. And that's what we're trying to focus on, those spaces. So the community feedback that we got as well were these. Prioritize durable, vandal-resistant materials, which was an interesting take, I think. It was an interesting answer. Most people don't really think about that unless they're actually maintaining these pieces. Engage local schools and community members, which we do on a regular basis. And one of our community members recently is a local company called Printera. They do 3D printing, and I'm going to show you some of their work as artwork in a minute. Showcase local cultural history and identity, and I'd just like to say that I think all of the county really is doing a great job on that. Hobe Sound, for example, has, I think, over 30 local murals that they've done with local artists. The new streetlights, love them. They're the old ones that were renovated, if you will, reused. On Dixie Highway, they're the streetlights that when Zeus Park was first built, the movie company from, I guess, Hollywood came and said, we're going to use this place, and they put up those streetlights, and the community came together and actually got those redone, and they look fabulous. They have an electrical box, a new electrical box there with train station, and of course they're doing the train station depot, part of one of our projects, but also the community is renovating that train station itself. We're doing it in Port Salerno where we have the glass mosaic, and that really highlights parts of Port Salerno that are real important to them, showcases water, fishing, and a wildlife theme. So broad support. I think we're seeing that we do have some good support out there, and hopefully that will continue. I know that we feel we have it here in this building as well. And we do provide opportunities for local artists. I think we have 19 local artists that have participated in the program so far. And that doesn't include just artists from the Treasure Coast. That's just Martin County. So just a quick peek. This was the project that I said was 27 and 28. So the mural is number 27, and this is at the Hobe Sound Library. They built a new gazebo outside there. I guess it's the side of the library. And this is a 88-foot mural being done by a muralist called Nathan Delanois. And it really showcases exactly what the library wanted, which was to have it match the preserve where it is and showcase that wildlife and that scrub preserve and those types of flora and fauna, if you will, of the area. And there on the bottom, we have 2 book benches, and these were made by Printera. Those book benches we sourced. They were very expensive, even more expensive to ship here. They were from a company, I don't even remember where. I don't know, it was in Europe even. I don't even know. And that was the only place we could find them. And we had made a connection with Printera for other things, and they decided, well, we can make them, and they sure did. And they're sitting out there now. Each one, on each spine, there is engraved the name of a book that is important to library members. So you'll get to see that. They look really fantastic.
And
so
these are 3D printed?
3D printed, yeah. So it was a great connection between a local small business, Art and Public Places, Martin County, Hobe Sound Library. It just really kind of checked all the boxes. So you can go out and see those. The mural, I believe, is done, and we'll be doing a dedication sometime soon. Some upcoming projects real quick. We will have more mosaic benches and bike racks. It's a Rio thing. They love it. A few others, we will have some art going to Golden Gate to be on El Camino. So we're going to be moving our Gresco pieces, or some of them, out of the gazebo park and onto the trail, which will be fantastic. We're hoping to do a temporary sculpture exhibit in Gazebo Park, and Hoke Library is looking for an eco art project that we're hoping to work with them on. That is all I have for the PowerPoint, but I'd love to do budget with you as well, if you've got a few more minutes.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Donna, because that would have taken me about a half an hour. Okay, so we're going to start with our maintenance budget, and you can see we've got everything on here except for our newest pieces. And you can see how each of those, when they come up for maintenance, when each one comes up for their maintenance time, we then put out a request for quotes from the artist and others that might be able to assist. We do try to make some deals with the artists where they maintain their own, and a lot of them like to do that. So that works out occasionally as well. Right now, we are busy doing Sailfish Splash. We're refreshing the murals that are there. We will not be doing, so in case you go and you see that the Lazy River does not have murals anymore, there's a good reason for that. They were beautiful and we love them, but the cement is not, and between the cement, the sun, and the water, you just have to redo them so often, it doesn't make any more sense to do that. So we're going to retire those. They've been retired, and we are going to look into something new for that area. In the meantime, the others that have been in the sun for years are getting a refresh. So that was, as you can see, scheduled for this year, so we're doing that. We are also going to be refreshing the Grescos before they go to Camino, and we are also doing some maintenance on Serenity because she fell off the wall due to water damage. So we'll be probably hanging her in a different place. But those are our maintenance projects right now. Can I just go to the next? Yes. This is our capital budget. No, it is not. Here it is. So here you can see that we've been very busy in the past few years, outlay of dollars for lots of new art, and we have put on here as well our possibilities in the future, trying to give that a budget to see what that looks like. I think that the program has done a great job in utilizing the dollars that we have and spreading that out around the county. So we've been busy doing that. Any questions? You can see exactly what we've spent on everything and the things that we put aside money for. So for example, Arts Fest allocation each year, we sponsor. So that's a done deal. The mural program, we put aside money for the mural program each year. It doesn't mean that it's spent on that each year, but we just put it in there as a placeholder. And if it's not spent, we spend it on something else as we go along. And then the last piece of our budget, there's three pieces to it, is our operating budget. And that is where you'll see some staff time. We have a membership in the Florida Association for Public Art Professionals. We do some MCTV during our board meetings, and then some administration, which would be things like events, brochures, giveaways, those types of things, is all included there. Do I have any questions on anything?
Any questions? Excellent presentation.
Okay. I'm just going to end by giving you a quote by Pablo Picasso: "Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life." And I tell you this because public art is really important. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for your support. I think it makes all of us feel a little bit special. It makes our place special. I think it's obvious that it makes our residents feel special. And just as a personal aside, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the program, because it makes the day feel a lot less like work.
Commissioner Capps.
I think you need a motion, right?
I do.
Move that the board approve the AIPP program manual update and the FY 2026 budget.
Second.
Any further discussion? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
I'm going to put it down to you were maybe hungry. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Do you want to take up Chancy Bay
Ooh.
before lunch?
Speaking to a group. We have a 1:30 preset.
What's the 1:30 precinct?
1:30 and 1:35.
Why don't we take up Chancy Bay then?
Okay, so, no. So we'll break for lunch. Ed has a speaking engagement. So let's come back at 1:30 for the presets. We'll take up the 2 P3s, followed by Chansey Bay. So hopefully that'll be maybe 2:30-ish.
I mean, how long is the Chansey Bay? I don't want to be the one that my friends have to wait that long.
Well, we're going to have to come back at 1:30.
Correct, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it's
So
already
that's
preset.
why I did it, because I figured if we would have to break for lunch because you have a 1:30 preset,
Yeah.
so we can't push it into the afternoon.
I agree. So I think we need to take a lunch break now. Right?
Yeah. Come back at 5, correct?
No, we're going to come back at 1:30 for a preset.
Instead of the 5.